Alright, so just a quick video here. In game one of the Indians versus the Blue Jays, they were talking about Believeland and whatever, and they zoomed in clear out into the outfield, and this picture doesn't do it any justice, but right here there's a clock, and on this clock when they zoomed in, it said it was 9:23. Now, 9:23 has been a very significant number for the last couple years. They've been foreshadowing it in movies, all kinds of stuff. It was a lot to do with Pope Francis's visit. It was connected to the NBA Finals in 2015. It was connected to the NBA Finals in 2016. Anyway, Pope Francis came to America in 2015 on his 923rd day as Pope. He went to the White House the very next day on 9/23 at 9:23 in the morning. LeBron James, if you write out LeBron James in gematria, LeBron James equals 923 in Jewish gematria. And in 2015, just before the Warriors defeated LeBron James and the Cavaliers, there was a train wreck in Philadelphia. The Golden State Warriors, originally from Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Warriors. But that train wreck happened at 9:23 p.m. It was going 106 miles an hour. The engine number was the Reflection 601. If you convert 9:23 from the Gregorian calendar to Julian calendar, October 6th, a lot like 106, is the same as 9:23. LeBron James was in the movie Trainwreck that summer as well, that has Amy Schumer in it. The movie starts off when Amy Schumer's character is 9 years old in the beginning. The rest of the movie takes place 23 years later. Anyway, last year I had documented how in 2015, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson both had games shooting 9 of 23. Steph Curry shot 9 of 23 for the first time ever in his career. It was against the Chicago Bulls in 2015. It was actually the last time that the Warriors lost a home game before their streak that continued on to this year, where they won 54 in a row, and they defeated the Chicago Bulls' record. Their last one that they lost was against the Bulls. So they lost that game to the Bulls. Then when the streak began on the next home game, Steph Curry shot 9 of 23. Earlier in that season, it says 15 on here, but it's supposed to be 14. Klay Thompson shot 9 of 23 against the Chicago Bulls on 12/5 of 2014. And I watched for it last year to see if that would come back up in 2016. Klay Thompson never shot 9 of 23. Steph Curry never shot 9 of 23. But LeBron James shot 9 of 23 on November 4th. It was the game where he ripped his sleeves off even. They made it a big deal. It just so happened to be 211 days before the NBA Finals. And there was all kinds of parallels to 211 and its reflection, 112. 211 seemed to be the positive one. 112 was the negative one. So LeBron shoots 9 of 23 on 11/4. It was exactly 51 days before they lost to the Golden State Warriors on Christmas Day. And LeBron James equals 51. Cleveland Cavs equals 51. Quicken Loans, where they play, Quicken Loans equals 51. Cleveland equals 51. They hadn't won a sports championship in 51 years. So just interesting in regards to that. But then LeBron also shot 9 of 23 again last season. On February 5th, he shot 9 of 23. Then I waited and waited and waited to see if anybody else on the team would shoot 9 of 23. Kyrie Irving ends up shooting 9 of 23 on a game where LeBron James doesn't play, and they lose to Houston. Houston equals 112, right? The bad number. Stephen Wardell Curry, the second or third, whatever his name is, equals 112. Andre Iguodala equals 112. If you recall, Steph Curry even got hurt against the Rockets in the playoffs when the score was 56-56. You add that up, 112. Andre Iguodala also fell down just before Steph Curry did. So, moral of the story, 9 of 23 seems to be something positive. So it's interesting they show it in game one of the Cleveland Indians versus the Toronto Blue Jays. They zoom in on it. They even have the Quicken Loans in the background, you know. And when they zoom in on it, it's just after they're talking about Believe Land and how the Indians haven't won since the year 1948. Interesting, too, if you read out Believe Land, it equals the same as Chicago Cubs. We've been talking about how I think it's going to be the Indians and the Cubs in the World Series. I talked a lot about how, you know, the Cubs are super connected to number 108. They haven't won in 108 years and all kinds of stuff. And in this post, I talked about how, according to the Curse of the Billy Goat, they don't necessarily specify that the Cubs have to win the World Series. It could possibly just be for the Cubs to make the World Series, and they could break the curse. Next year will be 108 seasons, not 108 years. So possibly, maybe the Cubs make the World Series and lose to the Indians. I still think the Cubs are going to win the World Series, but who knows? You know, it's something to think about, because the curse of the Billy Goat does not necessarily specify when you look it up. Anyway, the same day, the Chicago Bulls beat the Cleveland Cavaliers on game one of the Indians Blue Jays game. The Chicago Bulls beat the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Cavaliers scored 108 points. I don't think that's a coincidence whatsoever. They're showing us what they have in store and whatnot. And I showed this in the last video, but remember how the Cavaliers went on the 10-game winning streak before they lost in the playoffs and they lost to Toronto? So just something interesting to think about. But before Toronto beat them, the Cavaliers even scored 108 points. But of course, Golden State Warriors, when you write it out, also equals 108. But also Villanova, who won the college basketball championship, that was connected to Philadelphia, also connected to, Kobe Bryant, went to high school in Philadelphia and whatnot. And then it was UNC versus Villanova, almost like Michael Jordan versus Kobe Bryant. Also, Coastal Carolina won the College World Series. Coastal Carolina Chanticleers is how you pronounce it, I believe. They equal 108. There's a whole big parallel to this as well, but they were even got their rooster mascot or whatever from Geoffrey Chaucer. Geoffrey Chaucer equals 146 in Gematria. Kyrie Irving and LeBron James shot 9 of 23, 146 days apart. I talked a whole lot about how it's connected to the Prince and Royal theme. Prince of Wales equals 146. United Kingdom equals 146. But look at Geoffrey Chaucer. He died on October 25th. That's the day the World Series begins this year. And they even say that he was possibly 56 or 57 years old. If you read out World Series, it equals 57. But just wanted to make a short video. I wanted to show that 923 that they threw in the background of the game here. And, it seems to be something positive, especially for Cleveland this year in regards to the Cavaliers. So, whatever. Have a great one.